30 years ago, there was a little craftsman that was here at this show, and he was making handmade leather Bible covers by hand. And he just didn't, a lot of times like an artist doesn't have business sense. This was this individual. Okay? He could make a really nice Bible case, but he couldn't run a business. So I bought his machinery. I took over a couple of his employees, and we started making Bible covers. So in another part of our factory, you'll actually see a whole area of all these leathers and all this stuff.
No,
okay, here's what we do. This is the finest top grain leather. This leather here comes from Brazil.
Okay.
This leather here comes from Italy. So we shop the finest leathers. Okay, we go to like leather tanneries, like supply show. I know it's kind of weird. But then once we get the leather, then we design the case. But this is all handmade in America. And it's like the reason why no one's doing this is because they can't. Everybody in this industry thinks that things has to be cheap, 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 cheap. My thought is that how about everything being something unique and wonderful, well-made? I mean, if I'm an enthusiast of something, whatever it is, if it's running or if it's hiking or if it's reading my Bible, don't I want to have like really good running shoes if I'm going to compete? If I'm going to compete against Lance Armstrong, don't I want to have a really good bike?
Right. Well, that's the philosophy we've taken since we opened the store. Is we don't have to carry cheap stuff. We want to carry quality stuff that's beautiful, that people want because it's beautiful, not because it's affordable necessarily or really cheap. And we found that people like that.
Yeah.
And it's also given us the opportunity to promote vendors that most people wouldn't have ever heard of, because most stores take the easy way of, I'll carry these from China because everybody carries them and they're inexpensive. And we found very wonderful products, statues and other things that are not Chinese, and they're wonderful, and they're not necessarily out of reach price-wise either.
No.
So,
well, it's like what you're doing is you're driving. Just think about this. Like, if you want to have business with high sales volume or low sales volume, I say you want to have high sales volume. So why not sell things of better quality, priced fairly? You're not trying to get something that you don't deserve to have. Look, this is die cutting. So what we do is after we design it on CAD, we make these dies. This is actually right in our factory. I'm there every day of the week. And so there's the big skins of leather. We're laying them on that machine. And this is a razor blade die. Imagine razor blades on a big thing. And they take this press, and he pushes the button. And when he does that, that stamps out, like he's stamping out the spine right here.
okay.
So then we stamp out all the pieces, and once we get them all pieced, then we start stitching them together. And it's just a process of making, stitching all the pieces. This all has to be hemmed and sewn. And then we even design and cast these in our factory too. This, we make this. So
that's fantastic.
Every part of this case, it's unique. And that's what I'm just excited about you guys, that you appreciate it. Thank you.
So it's been our mission from day one is to carry quality stuff like this, and we've always had a policy about where we buy stuff. And we've had vendors we've had to drop half their line from, and they don't usually understand why we're not carrying their stuff from China. But if we can find higher quality stuff at a reasonable price that isn't from a country that's persecuting Christians, and it works fine.
Well, and it's even deeper. Not only is it persecuting Christians, there's the final fish, but it's like polluting the world. It's like, hey, how about if you had this sitting on your couch or bed, and your child starts putting their head on, and next thing you know, they're biting it as kids do, and then you find out that this is a toxic paint. What about if you had a cross that somebody was wearing, and you found out that cross was made with lead? And you know how kids do this all the time?
Oh yeah. My kids, yes, constantly having to take things out of their mouths.
And what you've been doing is you've been killing your child with the lead that's in the piece of jewelry. So that's one of the main reasons we just stopped dealing with China. We just said, let's not do it anymore. Because then they pollute. The earth is polluted. They dump all the toxins in the water. All the toxins, then they water the food, and then the food, people eat the polluted food. I mean, it goes on and on.
It does.
So I'm like, that's why we're really proud to do things in America. So all of our Bible cases, we're not trying to compete with the Chinese companies. We're trying to give you something for the enthusiast, the Christian, the believer that wants something unique, and so there's our selection.